tutorial starts with a song, but it's only a few seconds long.
Computer animation. Computer animation. Computer animation.
Let's get started with animation. Hi folks, what you just saw is totally useless, but it's quite beautiful, and this is one of the things with this tutorial channel. I don't have the intention to teach you to do certain things. I just get inspirations and we're going on adventures, and we do experiments basically, and this is yet another experiment. I think there are over 450 experiments so far, and we're in late summer 2019. Okay, we're going to deal with mesh today, and mesh sits here. Mesh also sits here, so you see all the nodes, all the important nodes here, and this menu entry is only visible when you're under FX here. So choose FX from the pull down menu here and you'll see mesh, and we'll actually need this because in most cases this serves our purpose well, but not in our case now. We go to curves surfaces and create a circle. And what we'll do straight away is we render that curve. And if you don't find this, well, this is the NURB circle shape. You have an Arnold section and you just tick on render curves. And because I know a little bit about the render size, I quite like 0.1 rather than a smaller number. I don't want to have the circle rendered too small, really. Next thing I'm going to do is I go to mesh and I create a mesh network, and I will use the option box here. In the default settings you need a mesh, and we currently don't have a mesh in the scene. We have selected a circle, which is a NURBS object. But when you click on instancer, you can actually use any kind of geometry, and this is the standard distribution. Let's start right away with this distribution here. I apply this and I reset the settings, close this window, and I have 9 of them now in a grid layout. The mesh node appears here, and the mesh distribute tells us how many we have. 3 by 3, and they have a certain distance here, which is 5, which I could reduce to 3, for example, so they would intersect each other. But I'm just fine with this, really. And now I'll add what is called signal node. Add a signal node, and you see they changed their distribution, and now you can run the animation and you see them moving around like this. When you look from the side, you see that they don't rotate. They just signal from the bottom to the top and a little bit to the left and right. In order to get a rotation, which I really want here, we need to have a look at the signal options. One is the rotation. So why not rotate them in this direction and in that direction? I think that direction is rotating within their circle shape, which is not visible really. Now we have a rotation here. So they signal around with a rotation. Let's extend the frame range a little bit and create another circle. This circle here is hidden. You see it's grayed out, it's hidden. The original one is the one we render with this width is invisible because we only see the mesh instances right here. But we can duplicate hidden objects, Control D. So we have a new hidden object which is called NURBS Circle 2, and it's invisible. We can make it visible, Shift H, and we make this smaller, like this. And from that we create a mesh network, a second mesh network. Again, we need the option box, we need the instancer, and we need this layout in our case when we close it. Now what happens? This was expected, of course, but we can now, with a mesh 2 network, we can add a new signal node. And as you can see, the little circles behave exactly the way the other ones do, except for the rotation. So we can add some rotation here while they're signaling around, and we can add some scaling so they scale smaller and bigger, as you can see, whereas the big circle doesn't do that. We can change the octaves of the noise settings of the animation here, and then they separate. So the small circles are really signaling differently from the others. You can also change the step amount here and the time scale as well, so they go slower or faster. Now, in order to get a nice abstract rendering, most of the time they're up and down distributed quite equally, and we introduce, well, for example, this plane here, and we can make it really large here. With the right mouse button, we create a new material, a Maya Lambert shader, because we don't need any reflections here, and we want it totally white. Now when we render this, Arnold render, we see nothing because we have no light in the scene. So let's introduce a light, a Skydome light, and now we see our curves. Now all I need to do is render that animation, and it looks very nice, as you've seen at the very beginning of this video. And with this, I leave you with your own experiments. Bye bye.